Want to know how to really improve school culture? Hey, I'm your host, Jeff Veely, and this is the Campus Peace Podcast. Join me after school as we discuss how to empower students, boost staff morale, and squash squabbles. Hello there, I'm Jeff Veely. Welcome to the Campus Peace Podcast. Excited that you're here today, and so glad that we can start 2021 together. 2020 was crazy, and man, it seems like after watching the news today, man, it doesn't seem like we're off to a great start. But I want to help you reclaim your passion, and if you're struggling, if you're like me and you work in education, maybe you found yourself struggling to feel motivated. Maybe you feel like where you're moving as your campus or your district, that not everyone's in harmony. Things aren't going the way you planned. And I think one of the greatest things we can do is take a deep breath, zoom out, and start to dream a little bit. Now, when I say dream, I mean more than that. I mean, cast some vision, set some goals. You know, one of the things that has hit me over the last couple of days is this truth. Without vision, people perish. Think about that for a second. Without vision, people perish. If you don't know where you're going, well, you just might get there. It's really hard to motivate yourself or motivate the people around you to get excited about something, to move in a direction if you don't know where you're going. My wife is kind of a planner. So when we head out on a road trip, she likes to have everything all laid out. She can't get excited if there's not a clear vision for what we're going to do, what we're going to accomplish, what we're going to experience. Now, I'm a little different. I like to sort of fly by the seat of my pants. So I have a destination in mind usually, but if it's vacation, I do so much planning for work. I would rather just hop in the car and go. But I realize that sometimes I miss out on things by not planning ahead. Vacation could have been more fun. It could have been more relaxing if I would have taken some time to sit back and plan a little bit. Here's what I want to invite you to do today. As I'm here in the studio, maybe you are watching on Facebook Live, maybe you're tuning in via YouTube today. Some of you listening to the recording, wherever you're at, if you have a piece of paper nearby, I want you to grab it, just a blank piece of paper, and we're going to do a little bit of an activity together. First of all, I kind of want to look back at 2020. Now, I know, don't hate me. There's a reason for this. We're going to look back, and then we're going to pivot, and we're going to look forward. You see, a lot of times before we look forward, we need to look at where we're coming from, what we're coming out of. There's been a lot of talk recently about how we need to not lower expectations necessarily for students, like not that we don't want kids to achieve, we don't want kids to perform, but we need to understand we are in the middle of a global pandemic. Things have not gone well. We need to give ourselves, we need to give the students that we're serving, our fellow staff members, we need to give everybody a little bit of grace. Everybody's struggling. We're in it together. We're doing the best we can for the most part. So before we look forward, let's look back a little bit. Grab that piece of paper, and I want you to fold it in quarters. So fold it in half again, so that you have sort of 4 quadrants. And this activity comes from my buddy Cody Birch, who does some coaching with me. And this was a brilliant activity. He helped me look back at 2020 in a unique way. So shout out to Cody. Thanks for this exercise. In the top left quadrant of this piece of paper, you're going to write pride and gratitude. That's right, pride and gratitude. I want you to list 3 things that you were proud of or 3 things that you were grateful for that happened last year during 2020. Looking back can often help us look ahead. Just jot down 3 things that you're proud of or grateful for. You know, this exercise I'm doing with you is so helpful for me in business that I actually went back and my wife and I did this for ourselves personally. Maybe that's something you want to do on your own time. 3 things you're proud of and or grateful for. Moving over to the right quadrant. So this is the second section. You're going to write growth. As we say to students, sometimes you either fail or you learn. What were some things that, maybe you learned from? Maybe they were failures. Maybe they were what we would call learning opportunities. or just challenges that you overcame? What were some things that you grew from? Take a moment to jot down 3 items that you grew from in 2020. I can think of so many areas where the people that I serve have grown. Our kids are tough, aren't they? We are so much tougher. We are so much stronger than we give ourselves credit for. And I say this to parents all the time. I say, you know what? Our kids are stronger than we think. Often they're stronger than we give them credit for. And so I think it's so important that we celebrate things that we've grown through and grown from. All right, after growth, we're going to move to that bottom left quadrant, and I want you to write down incompletes. What were those? What were maybe 3 items from your to-do list in 2020 that didn't get to done? They're still sitting there. They are still stuck. Write down 3 incompletes, 3 things that you would love to go back and finish. 3 things you wish you could have checked off the list, but well, maybe that just didn't happen. As soon as you're finished with that, I want you to move over to the right. And here's where we're going to focus moving forward. I want you to write down your aspirations. Your aspirations. Think of some goals. Think of some hopes. Think of what we're going to talk about today, vision. I want you to begin to start to cast some vision by writing down some goals. As Dave Ramsey would say, goals are dreams with work boots on. I just read that tweet yesterday. Thought it was fitting as I planned to go into the podcast with you today. And, I've also heard that dreams, they're for sleeping people. You can wake up with drool on your face and look a hot mess. So we need to make sure these goals are what we would call SMART goals. You know what that is. They need to be measurable. They need to be actionable. We need to get specific. Make sure to put some details down as you start to dream, as you start to list these aspirations. Let's make them some real goals. Now, over the next 4 weeks, we're going to talk about the 4 pillars of campus culture. Often when I go into a school district, parents will ask me, or administrators will ask me, they say, Jeff, how do you change school culture? Like when you come in and things are a hot mess and you're working as an education consultant, where do you start? I say, well, school culture, funny enough, is kind of like eating an elephant. You got to chip at it one bite at a time. You got to start somewhere. And I've discovered in my work that there's really 4 pillars or 4 walls of campus culture. And if you pull one of those walls out, if something's not solid, if something isn't built properly, your school, your campus culture can crumble. But when you fortify that, it can really make a big difference. Over the next 4 weeks after today, we're going to look at the 4 pillars of campus culture. In fact, each week I want to invite you to join me at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be live on Facebook and YouTube. If you're not free at that time, come on back again. The next 4 Wednesdays, you can always catch up the podcast. Just go to campuspeacepodcast.com to catch the replay. But I would invite you to join me live because we're going to do some real work in this area. The 4 pillars of campus culture. I'll tell you what they are real quick. They're 4 P's: people, programs, policy, and processes. People, programs, policy, and processes. And each week we're going to dive in. I'm going to help you analyze some pieces of your school culture, and then we'll talk about some ways to improve it in those 4 key areas. Now you might say, hey, Jeff, I'm not an administrator. Like I don't oversee a school building. First of all, if you are, great. You're going to be able to make a lot of decisions right away that will impact your campus culture as a result of doing these activities over the next few weeks. But if you're not, maybe you're just a teacher to say, Jeff, I can only influence my classroom. Awesome. You're a leader in your classroom and we can change your classroom culture. You might say, hey, Jeff, I just have the counseling office at the end of the hall. That's okay. I've had discussions like this even with my stepdad, who's a school bus driver. We talk about what do you do with 2 moving classrooms on wheels going down the highway and you're trying to manage all sorts of craziness. How do you have a culture that is safe, that is welcoming on your bus? No matter where you are an influencer, I want to talk about how you can up-level your influence, how you can move forward. And so that's what this is about. So take a moment to look at those aspirations that you wrote down. And before we move forward, I just want to acknowledge this. I think it's really, we're about to sort of cast some vision for what your school could be, what your campus could be like. And prior to going live here today and sharing this all with you, I, like many of you, stumbled across some footage of people storming the Capitol building here in America. And of course, I was really troubled by it. I was really troubled to see the scene and see the violence and the aggression that was taking place. And it breaks my heart that not only are we as grown-ups witnessing this, but our kids are witnessing this as well. They know what's up. They have a chance to see things. And I want to just take a moment, take a deep breath, grab a sip of water as I'm going to. Let's reflect on the state of our world for just a second. When I think about where we're at, when I think about what we've come from, I think about how much we need peaceful schools in America. I think about how important it is for our kids to have a safe place where they feel like they belong. I think of how incredible it is to help kids build their resilience and navigate conflicts and respond to aggression and manage their emotions and their feelings. And we're going to talk about that. Over the next 4 weeks, I want to talk about that because that happens to be my wheelhouse or my specialty. That's the thing that gets me excited like no other. And I know that we need those messages right now. And I know for you educators out there working on the front lines every single day that you're up against more now than you ever have been before. And we need you to be strong. Grab that piece of paper. Looking at what we're proud of, looking at what we're grateful for. What does that do? Write this down. That equals confidence. When we look at what we're grateful for, we look at the blessings we have, the things we're proud of, the things we've accomplished, that gives us confidence. Our growth or our learning opportunities, that offers us wisdom. Your incompletes, well, that gives you focus moving forward. That's finding the upside of the letdown, isn't it? And finally, our aspirations, they give us hope. Without vision, people perish. If you got a strong vision, you got a powerful thing you're laying out, you got an awesome destination that you're going to like Disney World, man, everybody wants to get on board. They want to come with you. They're willing to fight through some stuff in order to make it. The foundation of every superhero movie, every war hero story is a vision. A vision is something great. A vision is something better. A vision that things could be amazing. There's this destination, right? There's this target that we're aiming for. And I think often we lose motivation when we lose that vision. Without vision, people perish. Let me remix that. People are dying because they don't know where they're going. People have lost their passion because they don't know what they're aiming for. And if that's you today, I want to take some time. I'm so thankful that you're here to carve out a vision, a peaceful vision for your campus, your classroom, your counseling office, your school bus. When we can describe our vision, it gives us something to strive towards, something to aim for, something to achieve. And it gives us that hope. It gives us that excitement, that passion once again. So if you feel like your gas tank is empty, let's fill it up. Take those aspirations. Let's run with them for a second, shall we? Flip that piece of paper over and describe the peaceful culture vision that you have for your school, for your classroom, for your counseling office, for your school bus, wherever you influence, put it out there. If you supervise the cafeteria at lunchtime, God bless you. Describe what it would be like if it was peaceful, if it was awesome. I'll tell you mine, right? Every school that I walk into, my goal is to build a golden rule school, a place where people treat others the way that they want to be treated. Because I know if there's only one rule that can change that school, there's only one mindset, one way of living, it's the golden rule. And if we can allow the golden rule to rule, well, honestly, we wouldn't need police. We would be a self-policing, peaceful society. Doesn't that sound nice right about now? Aristotle made a logical proof so many years ago. If we all lived by the golden rule, we would take care of one another. We wouldn't need government. How beautiful is it to think of an area, of a school, a campus where kids would look out for one another at all times, and staff members would always have each other's back, and they would pick things up. If you had too much on your plate, they would just pick it up. They would do it for you. How amazing is it to think of a place that's like this? Your school, your classroom, your cafeteria can be like that. In your own words, describe what that would look like for you. What would it look like? What would need to happen to get there? Now, we'll put some steps in place in the coming weeks. But for a second, I want you to just write down that peaceful culture vision. You want to be brave? You can post it if you're watching this live. You can also email it to me. I would love to hear from you. Jeff@jeffveely.com is how you get a hold of me. I would love to respond and see your vision and share some of those on future episodes. Without vision, people perish. The best way we can fill our gas tank, friends, is to really cast some vision. And I hope you'll do that in 2021. I believe, regardless of all the craziness that we're seeing in the world, I believe that this can be a great year. I believe that we can give kids hope. And I believe we can find new ways to empower one another by treating each other the way that we want to be treated. Hey, I'm so glad that you joined me today. I want to invite you to join me in the coming weeks. Again, the next 4 Wednesdays. Today was sort of week 1 of 5. So the next 4 Wednesdays, next 4 weeks in a row, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Each Wednesday, I will see you right here. I'm going to be on Facebook Live, going to be on YouTube, helping you address the 4 pillars of campus culture and build a school, a golden rule school that you can be proud of. I'm Jeff Veely. Thanks so much for joining me today on the Campus Peace Podcast. If this helped you, please make sure you share it with a friend, share it with a colleague, and let's have an amazing 2021. Thanks so much for all you do. I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed today's show, please help me achieve an A+. Simply take a moment to rate and review the show wherever you're listening. Then catch up on episodes and grab some free resources over at campuspeacepodcast.com.